I wasn't abducting cows. Yes, my hair looks awful. Yes, I've just washed it. And yes, I do live in this dressing gown. So, with my specialist module project, originally I wanted to carry on with my binding seal. I apologise if you're hearing music. That's not me. I am at hall, so we're supposed to be doing some initial sketches, just some rough sketches. It's just an idea on what we're going to do for our project. Now, because this is our specialist practice module, it's more tailored around to our chosen career path. In my case, I'm a huge fan of graphic novels, and I would love to create my own graphic novel. I was going to carry on with my Binding Seals comic, which I do have kind of a head start in. I do have some characters sort of like sketched out. There are a lot of things that I need to work on. So I was going to carry on with that and do some more development sketches, some more page layouts. However, I thought I would start completely fresh. And this also helps with showing you the creative process and the actual work that goes into designing, creating and writing your own graphic novel. This is based off a lucid dream I've had recently, so I don't know where this is gonna go, but the combination of genres made a pretty awesome dream, but at the same time, will it actually work is the question. The genres I'm talking about is zombies with a good portion of sci-fi and a seasoning of fantasy. Three extremes that may or may not work, but the dream I had was so epic. I wanted to try this out. I wrote it in pencil. It was that fresh in my mind. So, mercenary named Ketwood gets hired along with other mercenaries by the military to find a package in an off-world jungle planet. The package is then found out to be a girl called Kaylee, who has the ability to bring people back to life. However, they aren't brought back in the same way, aka zombies, aka necromancy. Ket finds himself protecting this girl and is chased by the military who hired him in the first place. That is the description of what this comic will be about. Apart from what's already in my head, I'm wanting to start fresh. I don't know whether to write a little bit of a synopsis to summarize the story, or I should just wing it. So the jungle planet, the inspiration for this is Avatar, and the main inspiration from Avatar is Pandora. So I wanted to make it look like an alien world as part of the sci-fi genre, and the idea and how I might make this work is I want, instead of putting technology in advancing our weaponry and our cars and things like that, it more goes to transportation in exploring and inhabiting different planets and exploring space. And then I'll go into further research into talking about the world of this graphic novel. The idea is this graphic novel is just going to be on its own. There's not going to be like multiple versions of this. Once it's finished, it's finished. So I don't know. The idea is to actually have this completed for the end of the semester. So the next thing is with this desert planet. What desert planets can we look at? Now, a thing that springs to mind is Mad Max Fury Road. This is sort of like one thing that I want to get inspired by. I may have to again watch the film to get a few notes and see what I can take on board that's in this film, and see if I can have my own twist on it, or if I can make it, because it's technically just like sci-fi but it's post-apocalyptic. So what else kind of inspiration? I think it was sci-fi. We'll put Subnautica. At the moment, inspiration wise, that's all I've got. I guess for zombies, I really like the film 28 Days Later. Might be a case of doing some research and watching the film, see what was in there that caused the zombies. But the thing that I'm very interested in using this element, which would make up for the zombies, I want to use necromancy. In this aspect, I want the character who has the ability to raise the dead. She doesn't actually know that she can raise the dead. So that's sort of like my idea. I'm hoping that this all comes together. So let's get the images done, and I'll see you in a jiffy. So the plan I set myself out for was to watch the films that inspired my project, and to take notes on what aspects piqued my interest. Following from that, I produced the following sketches, as you can see here, on what my planets could look like. I based these initial sketches on what was in my head so that my peers could see my vision. However, as time passed, things began to change entirely. Basically, I have decided that I'm going to be focusing on creating my own worlds in general, because when I think about it and the more thought that I go into it, I think my mindset is already set on worlds instead of making a whole story behind them. In some cases, the story itself is creating the worlds. I've always been fascinated about different universes and different world base outside of Earth. And there was a film, I think it's called Another Earth, and what happens in that film is they find a planet that is pretty much identical to Earth, and you could actually buy a ticket to visit that Earth and meet yourself. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen the film, it's pretty good, it's a pretty interesting concept. Herself from the other world visits her. It's only a small thing at the end, it's sort of like a twist, and obviously I'm not going to tell much about what happens in it, but it's to show that just because that there's another planet with life on it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not going to be like us, like humans, like Homo sapiens. No one knows. Planet 51 is another good idea. How the aliens depict humans as these alien monster looking things with like one big eye, and how we assume that aliens will look like obviously what we imagine aliens would look like. So when they actually meet, it's sort of like, oh, you're not exactly what I thought you looked like. It's like unexpected, and they live just like us. The whole idea of making, especially ever since I've received a reply from the art director of Subnautica, I'm so over the moon with that. I can't believe that actually happened. I mean, and it wasn't just like a brief reply, it was a proper in-depth one, which has been very helpful in my research. I thought I just wanted to say that while I'm still gathering my research and coming up with initial sketches, I want to make it believable that a planet like this could exist. Okay, so The footage you've seen prior to this one right now, as you're watching it, was done earlier in the semester. We're in March right now, coming up to April. So we're near the end of the semester. A lot has happened since then. You may be aware of the worldwide pandemic that's happened, which has resolved to the entire world into lockdown. If it's just the UK that's in lockdown, this is a whole 28 days later scenario. So schools, universities, workplaces that aren't necessary have been closed and everything is resorted to online. It's kind of surreal, to be honest. I'm fortunate enough that it doesn't greatly affect my course specifically because I do art, but a lot of progress has been made since. I am now working on a landscape. This video was basically initial ideas to get this final major project like a head start, like a boost or something. It started off earlier in this video that it was going to be a graphic novel surrounded in the genres of sci-fi, zombies and fantasy. Then it transitioned into having too much fun with creating worlds, so I'm going to do my own worlds, multiple worlds. Now it's resulted in one planet. Now the planet doesn't have a name yet. The colour scheme of the planet is purples and blues. I have developed and kind of finalised some flora and fauna, and I'm now in the midst of creating my first proper landscape. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Next video we'll be looking at my creatures and my plant life on this planet, how they interact with each other, maybe creating like diagrams or something, and I'll see you next time. Stay thirsty. In all seriousness, jokes aside, I want to thank the NHS and any key workers that are still working right now for everything that you've been doing during this pandemic. And I hope everyone at home or in halls, like I'm still in halls, is safe and sound, and make sure to wash your hands as well. It's very important that you do so. Don't just use sanitizer, because some people have only just been using sanitizer. It can only do so much. But please stay safe, and I'll see you next time.